Elviro Peterson couldn't add more to his overnight score. He went quickly in the morning of day 5. Jacques Kallis finally came in, looked good for a little while. Faf du Plessis is on his way perhaps for another important final day innings for South Africa. Zair Khan became only the third left-arm seamer to take 300 wickets, and Jacques Kallis was his 300th. He follows a very illustrious company of Chaminda Vaas and Wasim Akram as the third left-arm seamer to take 300 wickets or more in Test match cricket. Well, hello and welcome to Match Point. It's the final lunch of the first test, and well, this match couldn't be even any better. South Africa 236 for 4, and Jacques Kallis was looking good for his 34 of 37. Some beautiful shots in that. Got a rough one from Rod Tucker, who's umpiring before. This has been pretty good. And well, the two batsmen at the crease now, AB de Villiers and Faf du Plessis. South Africa still require another 222 runs with 6 wickets intact. Daryll, Cullinan and Sanjay Manjrekar with me. Daryll, first off, let's review that session. Quick thoughts. Who'd be happier going into lunch?
I think both sides would look back on the session and say, well, where are we going here? Are India on top? Questionable. Can South Africa push through? Is a win probable?
Mm-hmm. And Sanjay, quick word on what you saw, the Indian bowlers as well?
Again, good intent and 2 good wickets, I thought. Kallis and Peterson, well set, and a batsman who had the qualities needed for this kind of a situation. So not a bad session for India at all.
Yeah, results are all still very much likely, although you think the 2 big wickets for India, the set batsmen Elviro Peterson and Jacques Kallis. Now Kallis got a rough one. Quick word on that decision, then we'll talk about the bowler and what that 300th wicket meant to him. Little inside edge that we picked up only on replays when we saw it, because I saw your immediate reaction was also out. So you got a feel for the umpire?
Umpiring has been top class, isn't it, until now? So you've got to understand, when I always look at umpiring and I look at good mistakes or bad mistakes, and that's when you become slightly critical of the bad mistakes. Both umpires have been brilliant. I mean, there haven't been too many bad catching issues on a turning pitch. Umpiring gets tested a little more. But this mistake is not a bad mistake. Jacques Kallis will feel for it, and pressures on modern day batsmen to keep their emotions to themselves after getting this kind of a decision.
Daryll?
Let me tell you something about Jacques Kallis, just on 300 wickets. He was somebody else's 300th wicket, Shane Warne's. Mm-hmm. And he was somebody's 500th wicket. The first guy to go to 500 was Courtney Walsh. And I was playing that match, and Kallis was at 3, I was batting at 4. And as he got up to go, and he said, I'm not going to be this guy's 500th wicket. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you today, he got out through an inside edge. Yeah. And was Courtney's milestone. Today, inside edge, he said it's 300th. Mm-hmm. Now, perhaps one of our viewers can just check up on that, but I'm pretty sure about that stuff.
Oh, well done, Daryll Cullinan. He's a stats guru in himself, is Mr. Daryll Cullinan. But the bowler that did the damage for India, that big wicket was Zair Khan, because Jacques Kallis was looking good. Take a look at Zair Khan now as to how he's been. 89 matches, that's his test career. Sanjay, a big match for Zair Khan considering the comeback. Just run us through those figures and whether they reflect truly how Zair Khan has been for Indian cricket.
His strike rate is slightly on the higher side, but he's that kind of a bowler. He's not going to run in and destroy opposition like Waqar Younis would do, or a Malcolm Marshall or a Steyn. So he's a guy who works his magic slowly on the batsman, but somebody that you can throw the ball to, and the economy rate and everything is manageable. I think he's clearly India's second best seam bowler. Kapil Dev was the best. The next one who can come in contention to take that spot is Srinath. But in my book, Zair Khan is a slightly better seam bowler than Srinath.
Yeah, they take a look at what Sanjay's been telling you. Now, Zair Khan finds himself at number 4 on the list of highest wicket takers for India in Test cricket. Anil Kumble up that list. Kapil Dev, we've spoken about. Harbhajan Singh, Vishnu Bedi just there. And Daryll, quick word. Zair Khan in this particular Test match and how he's bowled this morning. He's come around the wicket. He's done a few different things. It had to be a good ball to get Jacques Kallis, who was looking set, but there was a little assistance from the pitch as well in that ball.
Sure, I think what is so impressive about Zair Khan's bowling is every ball, he makes everyone count. And he's constantly asking questions of the batsman's defence, their ability to leave the ball. But his career has almost been one of two halves, hasn't it?
Yep.
I can remember in that tearaway young quick bowler, and he reinvented himself and has come back as, I'd say, probably one of the most skillful bowlers, if not the most skillful bowler in Test cricket.
Okay. It's interesting, actually. The first time I set eyes on this guy was, I think it was the Titan Cup final, India-South Africa, around 96, 97. And we had these local net bowlers who come and bowl to the international batsmen. And there was this left-arm seamer, very wiry, kind of little bit of a sort of goatee kind of beard, stubble here. And Mohammad Azharuddin was batting in the nets, and I was waiting for my turn to get into the nets, and I could see Mohammad Azharuddin getting rushed by this local seam bowler, had nice jump and bowling a bit quick. And then Azhar finished his stint. As he walked out, he's saying, good bowler that, does he play for Bombay? And I said, no, I've never seen him before. As it turned out, it was Zahir Khan who had come up to bowl for us in the nets. And then, we started trying to find out where is this guy from. I described him to all the local players that we want this guy to come and bowl to us in the nets. He's tall, he's wiry, and then somebody said he's Zahir Khan who plays for Islam Gymkhana, and that's how he came into the Ranji probable, started bowling to a lot of batsmen. And interestingly, may have played for Mumbai first season or something, I don't know, but he's basically a Mumbai, he played all his cricket in Mumbai, comes from a place near Shirdi, but actually it's Baroda who made Zahir Khan the Zahir Khan he is by giving him opportunities at the first class level. So
quick word on his fitness as well, because that was something that was going to be dangerous. We all knew he's got skill with the ball, but from what you've seen, I know it's just 2 innings or rather 1.5 innings now, but does he look better than he's been in the past? He's made a couple of comebacks before as well. Can we see Zahir Khan now have a sustained long spell in the Indian Test team?
He's got one important thing out of his way, which was proving to just hold him back, and was the excess weight. When that goes away, with aging players, excess weight is the worst thing to have as a companion. So it's a good thing that he's got rid of it. And we've seen him train as well, the famous training session that he had somewhere in exotic Europe or some place there. But more importantly than all this is the first class grind that he went through. 160 odd first class overs before he made this comeback.
Okay, now that's a lot about Zahir Khan. Now Zahir Khan, as well as the other 2 frontline Indian seam bowlers, Mohammad Shami and Ishant Sharma, were the bowlers that did the bulk of the bowling. In fact, had it not been for about a few minutes before lunch, it was only the fast bowlers that were bowling. Daryll, Cullinan, we've been talking a lot about the captaincy and the choice of bowlers both captains use, especially in the morning session. Looking at the bowlers that bowled right, MS Dhoni got it dead right with the bowlers that he picked?
He's had no choice. He's only had 3 seamers, but what's been impressive that they've responded to his call to bowl a lot of overs. In contrast, have South Africa done the same, and as Graham Smith asked his bowlers to do
we've got a stat for you, Daryl, Sanjay. You can both jump into this. This is just the first hour of play on day 4 and day 5. Day 4 was when the South African bowlers were bowling. Day 5, the Indians. Now we know there was no Morne Morkel, but in spite of that, you could see you'd expect the top 3 bowlers. Philander, Dalston, you think number 3, Daryl, is Jacques Kallis. You had Duminy bowl a little more, and Kallis just bowling the 1 over. How much of a difference does it make with the sign of intent, even though Duminy may have got wickets?
We're talking about moments in the Test match, and generally this is a moment, isn't it, Daryl? First hour of a new day, and again that captaincy that you saw from Graham Smith, where he had Imran Tahir and JP Duminy bowl a lot of overs there. India had Ashwin, who was actually a frontline spinner, but Dhoni was reluctant to go to him in the first hour because he knew this was the moment in the Test match. So he just used the 3 seamers, and South Africans, for some reason, were reluctant to bowl their 3 seamers right at the start. They started off with Steyn and Duminy, so perhaps just taking too much care of their bowlers, I thought.
It's been one of the puzzling things about this Test match. We've repeatedly said it, how Graham Smith has used his bowlers.
Okay, so you'd go with Sanjay's point that the moments are important to win. It's important to do the right thing and get your results, even if and not so much to get the result by not doing the right thing. Because people would say he got Duminy and Duminy got Kohli out, but it's important to send the right message out first thing in the morning.
Absolutely. I think it goes without saying. Seizing the moments and identifying them in Test cricket. We're not talking about a rookie captain here. We're talking about that's played a little bit, and if he's honest with himself, you'll have to admit that perhaps he got it wrong. Okay,
so India have a job of taking another 6 wickets, possibly 5, depending on what the South African team management decide on Morne Morkel's ability and eligibility rather to bat. But how good are India when it comes to taking wickets in the lower order? Now we're not into that lower order yet, but AB de Villiers is about a couple of wickets away from there. Take a look, teams against India against the lower order. Sanjay, what does that tell you when you look at those numbers?
Okay, in the last 5 years, teams in bowling attack against the opposition tail, the worst performers, I think, are the worst offenders when it comes to that is West Indies, where you can see 50 plus scores have been 12, India 19, which is interesting. So India is quite high on that list, whereas Australia was one of the major teams right there at the bottom. So it is a weakness that India has had for a long time, but I want to bring it back to the bowling attack. Because if you look at the bowling attack, make a mention that this team has somehow played differently from the past team that we've seen. So these are past stats. I'm just seeing a lot of different things happen in this test match with the current personnel that we have. So maybe may not see too much in
let's
that.
Let's not be carried away by numbers or history as such, because this is a very unique test match, as our experts have pointed out throughout. Now, even though Zaid Khan got his 300th wicket and Jacques Kallis is a huge wicket to lose, South Africa are very much in this, you think, on numbers. 98 runs in the morning session, 29 overs. A run rate of 3.38 is considerably higher than what the first, second, and probably I think even the third innings have revealed. Daryll, looking at it, they did play their shots, they did get runs. De Villiers is looking okay, Faf is looking okay. What's the approach after lunch for South Africa now?
Well, the big challenge is going to be that second new ball. And they've scored comfortably without even being aggressive. They just simply picked off whatever bad balls there have been from India. Not necessarily bad balls, where India have been striving to get that fuller ball in there. That's been a key focus, key intention of how they've bowled today. So I think they'll sit pretty comfortably to a degree, knowing that if they can get through the second new ball without too much damage, the way they're going, come tea time, wickets in hand, I think we may be in for a fantastic last session.
You've been telling us about this pitch deteriorating, as the test match progresses, but what explains the run rate, where run rates in the first and second innings of the test match were much lower than the third and the fourth?
I think it also has to do with the nature of the outfield. And often when you're playing on a pitch that has got several alongside it, England have the most because they play so much cricket. They can't use the same strips, the same too often. It's that immediate off the bat, the ball gathers pace. And this outfield is beautiful. I mean, we've just seen how the ball just speeds away to the boundary. So where the fielders may have the opportunity in other venues just to cut off potential ones and twos, it's not the case here. And there's perhaps not enough in it for Ashwan, where Dhoni can look at bowling different line, attacking outside leg stump to just get that run rating control from one end. So but we identified it, didn't we, Sanjay, throughout this test match, that the ability to contain is not going to be there. It'll be very, very tough.
Also, don't forget. Yes, sorry.
Carry on.
Yeah. Also, don't forget Dhoni is trying to attack here. The moment he realizes that he's got to go on the defensive, he's very good at doing that. So it was interesting to see. There was a very rare occasion that you see Dhoni getting a seamer to bowl and the extra cover region is open. There's one drive that was played by E.B. de Villiers and there was no cover there. So he's attacking at the moment. So you can understand why the runs have come in that first session.
But I think that the balance would be right if he does decide he's got to get sweepers back. And 3 and over, we've seen throughout the test match. It's almost a given. And it's a great time now this test match is ending.
I agree, because the next thing I wanted to ask you, Sanjay, was with about 60 overs of play and 222 runs to get, that's at par with the run rate that they're going at already. We've seen how batting gets easier as the day goes on. At what point in this game, on this session, would you see MS Dhoni go on the defensive? Because would that be a disappointment to you? When do you see MS Dhoni doing that?
1 hour from now, after lunch, if that new ball doesn't give him, great breakthroughs, 2 or 3 wickets, and also the fact that E.B. de Villiers is the danger man. Now, Faf will hold one error. AB can't help but attack, so his bat will just keep talking all the time. So he's a danger wicket because he'll also add to the run rate. Interesting test match, but I'm still wanting to keep that most likely scenario being an Indian win, but it's just that kind of a test match, isn't it?
And quickly, before we show you another stat which is relevant on how Zaid Khan has been against the lower order, or how he's been successful away from home in contrast to other bowlers. Daryll, South Africa going with 222, they've lost 2 wickets. Are they telling themselves, we're doing okay on the run rate, you guys look comfortable, it could get easier to bat, see out that newer ball and then we're in with a chance? Do they see a realistic possibility of winning this?
Well, they can always pick up the run rate issue. I think for them now it's going to be a question of the next hour and a half, not losing any wickets. One can say the new ball can create more caution by the South Africans, which can lead to that run rate climbing a bit, but I don't think that's the focus at this stage.
All right.
Chasing targets is almost sort of second nature to modern day batsmen. Playing out time or playing for a draw is something that's more difficult. So if it comes down to chasing target, then Indians have to worry.
Okay, fine. So like we were talking about Zaid Khan earlier, who's got 300 wickets now today. Shahid Khan is becoming his 300th. He's known to become a milestone wicket now for a number of good bowlers, as Daryll Cullinan has pointed out. How does he compare in regard to other bowlers outside of Asia? Now you can see other Asian bowlers, and you can see Zaid Khan is somebody who does very well outside of the subcontinent. So you could take a look. These are numbers coming in before this test. We're looking at bowling averages, so the lower the average, the better. And Zaid
because
Khan,
I think we're celebrating Zaid Khan's achievement today.
Yes.
We have to just bring this out to show, cricket fans and viewers that Zaid Khan is a rare bowler. Where we are looking at all, Asian bowlers, great bowlers from Asia. The only exception is Zaid Khan, where his overseas performance actually is better than home
His domestic
performances.
performance,
So
yeah.
these are all bowlers with great skills who actually fared better on the dead, dusty pitches of the subcontinent. Zaid Khan, the only exception.
this pitch is far from dead and dusty. It's the star of this entire test match, that pitch at Joburg that Daryll Cullinan knows so much about. Let's take a couple of questions quickly before we wrap up the lunchtime show on Match Point. The first question, of course, you can send in those questions via hashtag MatchPoint on Twitter. Let's quickly take a look at your question from Anshul Abhinav. You should not need DRS for these kind of obvious blunders. If you can check no balls, why can't you check for edges? And there's another one that's on similar lines, so let's show you both. Malcolm Mulver sends this one. Malcolm says, do you think the ICC should step in and make DRS mandatory for all series, irrespective of a board's opinion? So there's one talking about how the third umpire should have more of a role. There's another which talks about how there should be DRS regardless of what individual boards feel. Take it away, gentlemen. Who'd like to go first?
I think you've got to ask the Indian Cricket Board, the BCCI, what they want to do.
Okay. Sanjay?
With regards to the no ball, if the third umpire can come in and check the no ball, why can't they do with the edges? But that just opens up the whole game, where every time there is anything, the third umpire will come and intervene and start playing a part. Now this has to be an understanding between the two teams before the series begins. It's a kind of a playing condition that one brings in.
Yep.
It was not in place for this series, so unfortunately it's old-fashioned dismissal of Jacques Kallis, where afterwards we have a look at it and there's an inside edge. So that's unfortunate. And when you talk about ICC is a congregation, or it's a group of all cricket boards. It's just a matter of all cricket boards getting together and deciding what's best for the game. My views on DRS are well established and are there on various platforms.
But I think they have had that, haven't they? And the BCCI have been the ones that said no. So, again, it's
Coming down to
the
the
only-
boards that don't want to.
Well, the only board that's going to change it is the BCCI, because everyone takes their lead.
No, but it's actually not a minority that prevails. In any decision, there's got to be a majority in that board that sits. And I think BCCI are the front runners opposing DRS, but eventually, I'm sure it's a vote that's taken about, what do we do?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
where they get some support.
Yeah, and well, at the end of it, it's come down to both. The ICC has agreed that it should be down to the boards to decide what they want to do for the bilateral series. It is something that's implemented for ICC events. So let's see how it goes in the future. It's a tough one, like Sanjay said. It's also to do with playing conditions. And remember, on-field umpires have a lot more power, even by playing conditions. You've got two elite panel umpires here. The third umpire in this test match is not an elite panel umpire; he's an international panel umpire. So the umpires here are the ones that call the shots, the on-field umpires.
And he had no doubt, right?
Yeah,
When he gave that decision,
exactly.
he had no doubt in his mind that
True.
that was a plumb leg before. He didn't see that inside
It's
edge.
old-fashioned test cricket. It gives you something to talk about afterwards in the bars, on studio shows as well. Okay, let's quickly tell you where the match stands as we head into the second session on the final day of the first test in Johannesburg. South Africa 236 for 4. Faf du Plessis, the overnight batsman, unbeaten on 42. AB de Villiers unbeaten on 25. Zaid Khan picked up Kallis this morning. Shami got Alvaro Peterson. South Africa require another 222 runs with 6 wickets in hand, and there are about 60 overs of play to go, assuming, of course, we get good light and no bad weather. Quickly, let's ask our Joburg weatherman. Will we get weather playing any part in this in either the next session or later?
It seems that there's been a call for early afternoon thunderstorm. We had that said yesterday, and we had no interference from rain.
Is a call for it? Was it a call from the South Africans for an early afternoon thunderstorm?
I tell you what, might be India.
Yeah, it might be India.
Might be
There you
India.
go.
But this
is nice.
game's pretty much in the balance here. Just on the last note, I think India, if that is the case, might rue the chance to play the fourth seamer. Keep believing that.
Ooh, I tell you, Daryll Cullinan's prophecies have been pretty good so far. Let's see if it gets any better. You can always give Daryll your view on Daryl's little statement via hashtag MatchPoint on Twitter. Send that to us and we'll take your questions and your thoughts at the Tea Time Show. Until then, it's an intriguing session lying ahead. Go freshen up and get ready for it in a few minutes. We'll join you at tea. Thanks, Sanjay. Thanks, Daryll. See you soon. Goodbye.
Thank you.